Hey guys, it's Reggie here, also known as 19x90, and I'm here with
Alex, also known as A.Priority.
And today we're going to talk about how to do the bed drop transition effect from Alli. So our friend and talented filmmaker Alli recently dropped his Egypt video, and within the first few seconds, he immediately pulls the audience into this dream world with his bed drop transition. The execution of this effect shows the genius of his creativity and pre-play.
In other words, holy
So inspired by this, we decided to recreate this effect and show you guys how we did it. Let's check it out.
Okay, so now we're actually going to show you how to do this effect. So what's the first step?
First step is we need a subject who's actually going to fall into the bed.
It's me. So we have to make sure we're close enough to the bed so that you don't get hurt. So essentially, you're going to be tipping backwards like this, falling onto the bed.
And if you want to sell the effect really well, make sure you have your arms out,
Right.
kind of like this.
So kind of get ready. And then,
Boom.
right. One more time, we'll show that. Just get your arms ready to kind of flail a little bit. Right, just like that.
So step number 2.
Step 2, your cameraman has to go directly across from the person who will be falling.
Yep.
So you have to pretty much line up the camera there directly in line with the person.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much just like straight on from them, right?
Yeah.
And essentially you have to mimic that same falling motion, right, with the camera.
Yeah. So we don't know how we're going to do this yet. I'm going to fall with the camera and see how that goes. And
Yeah, because you do have to kind of mimic that whole falling look. So I think the best way to do that is probably to actually fall onto the floor, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
Why don't we just give it a shot?
Let's give it a shot and see how this goes.
See what happens.
Okay.
All right.
So.
All right. So this is going to be our first attempt. So camera guy's going to hit record.
Yeah.
We're going to count to 3, and then we're going to both tip at the same time and hopefully at the same pace.
Yeah, we're going to let gravity do all the work, okay?
Yeah.
All
And
right.
if we don't line up properly, we got to try it again.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Ready?
Here we go. 3.
Record. You recording?
Yeah, I'm recording.
All right. Ready?
3, 2, 1. Oh, that's not bad.
Did you get it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
One more time.
Try one more time.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
How did that one go?
I don't think it went too well. One more time.
Okay.
Okay. It's really hard.
Hopefully we get this one because he might be hurting himself.
Yeah.
So you gotta just always be careful when you're doing these kind of things. All right. Ready?
3, 2, 1. Oh, my hip. My hip.
Did you at least get it, man?
No. Oh,
Why-
God.
Why don't you just put it on the tripod and then tip the tripod?
Okay, so what you actually do is you put your camera on the tripod. That is the safe way.
Yeah.
Do not do what we first originally did because you only get hurt. So you put the camera right on the tripod, and then to mimic the motion of me falling back, all he's going to do is tip the tripod over.
Down this way.
He just has to make sure that he's passing the bed, so the lens will go beyond the point of the side of the bed here. But other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward.
The other thing we have to also point out is the tripod legs have to be together. Ooh.
Our camera person just walked into the door.
So injury.
She's learning. She's our intern.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
yes.
put the legs together, guys, so that when you do tilt it, you can just fall and it's not, you know.
Yeah, so don't extend the tripod legs out into the triangle shape
Yeah.
because that's just going to keep the tripod steady. So you want to be able to, you know, almost make it like a monopod where it's just like the one singular point and you can just tip it over like that. And make sure you do not let go of the camera. So always hang on to it. So hang on to the handle, hang on to the frame, whatever you want. But as you're bringing it down, obviously don't let go of it because your camera will fall to the floor and probably break.
Yeah.
So all joking aside, be safe, don't actually fall to the floor, and do not let your camera drop.
Yeah.
So we're going to show you this twice. One from this side to the front just so you can see how it happens, and then we're going to show you one from the other angle so you can see from that side of it. All right?
Okay, you ready?
Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Right.
Okay, one more time. So we're gonna do it from this side so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, 3, 2, 1. And notice every time I'm doing it, I'm making the camera fall with the speed that he's falling at. That's how you can really sell this effect.
Yeah, so if you notice when I'm first falling, the first little bit is a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And then once I fully let go, then I fall at normal speed, right? So if you just watch quickly, right? So the first bit of tipping was going a little bit slower until I just went right down. So you have to pretty much get that same action with the tripod.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, so for the second part of JR's video, he was pretty much getting up from the sand in the desert in Egypt, I believe it was, right? So they pretty much did the exact same thing. JR probably just fell into the sand, so he just probably went backwards right into the sand, and I'm pretty sure his camera guy also fell there because of the fact that the sand is soft.
So the important thing is they shot it that way, but then they reversed the footage. So when you look at it, it looks as if JR is getting up from the ground and walking forwards.
Yeah, so for our video, we just wanted to kind of put our own spin on it, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't want to do the exact same thing, but I think the concept is still pretty much
It's pretty much the same thing, yeah.
So we're going to do pretty much the bed drop again. So we have an air mattress, but you could use anything that's soft enough. So you get a bunch of blankets, some pillows, lay it down on the floor. Just make sure it's padded enough for when you do throw your body onto it. So now we're going to pretty much do the exact same setup.
Yeah.
So I'm going to once again stand in front of the bed, and Reggie's going to stand over there with the camera, setting it up in pretty much the exact same layout and setup, right?
Yeah.
So to kind of sell the effect, I'm going to take a step or two forward from the bed, and then I'm going to do this whole 1-2 backward step before I go for my tip back. Right?
The important thing is when you're walking backwards, make sure you're stepping on your toes first.
Yeah. So when I look down at my feet, a lot of the people, you don't realize how you actually walk, but if you're taking a step forward, it's kind of like heel, toe, heel, toe. So if your feet are going to be in the shot, you want to make sure you're getting that same type of movement when you're walking backwards. So you have to make sure you're lifting your toes up when you're doing your backwards movement. But for ours, we're actually not going to show my feet or my legs because the bed is in it again. So for this take, we want to make sure we minimize showing the actual bed itself. So we're going to probably shoot this a little bit
higher up. Yeah.
Angled a little higher up so we don't see the bed as much. So we don't have to worry about the way I walk. We just don't want to do a robotic backwards walk, right? And try to make it as natural as possible, right?
The thing is, JR is a master at doing this. He's really good at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's perfected it. So we'll try our best.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll demonstrate this one more time for you guys because we love falling and hurting ourselves.
Yeah.
All right. You ready with that camera?
Yep.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Okay. One more time.
Remember, just to keep it relaxed. Don't do too much of a stiff movement with your arms going backwards.
And notice that I'm not going to drop the camera until he actually falls backwards. That's the big thing. So until he actually walks towards the mattress or he's about to fall, that's when I'll drop.
Then we start dropping at the same time.
Yeah. Okay, so one more time. There you go.
All right, now we bring it over to the computer. Okay, so in the little clip that you just saw, we actually filmed it a little bit differently than JR's video. So in the original, the first clip of the bed drop, he fell directly onto the bed itself. So the camera guy was bringing the camera, like we just showed you, down past the bed. But when he was waking up in Egypt on the sand, the camera wasn't falling down past the ground, obviously, because it's impossible to do that, right? So with theirs, they were just starting the camera tilted sideways on the ground itself and coming up. So they had to do a little bit of a mask on that to transition the two scenes. So for ours, we actually filmed it once again on our air mattress, so we had two beds essentially for this shoot. So ours was a little more seamless, so we could just, once again, do the camera falling past the edge of the bed frame. So all we had to do is put it into Adobe Premiere, line the end of the two clips up, so you just cut off a little bit of the end of the first clip, because you don't want it to be too long at that point, right? So you just find the point at the end of it in which the camera just passes the bed into darkness. So for the second clip, we obviously want it to be playing backwards because as it transitions, I'm supposed to be getting up off the ground or off the bed, not falling onto it. So all you have to do is right click on your clip, go to speed duration, and then you should see the little checkbox that says reverse speed. So you check that off, hit OK, and then now your clip will play backwards. So you just want to trim off the beginning of the clip if there's too much of a darkness or black footage there. So start that clip right before it gets bright and where you start seeing the scene again.
So when you're filming the two scenes, it's a bit counterintuitive. For the first one, let's say if your subject is falling to the right, you're gonna follow the subject in that direction and fall to the right. But in the second one, what you're gonna do is you're gonna actually go in the opposite direction. You're gonna fall to the left. And the reason why you're doing that is so that when you reverse it, it's gonna be in the same motion with both subjects in both of those scenes both falling to the right.
Yeah, so you want to keep the flow of motion the same from clip to clip. So once again, if the person's head is falling down to the right side of the frame, they should be getting up from the left going to the right as well. So it's kind of keeping the same motion going, right?
Yeah.
So for us, we actually couldn't film it in the proper way.
Yeah.
So I think our first shot in the bedroom, that was filmed the opposite way, just because of the limitations of the room that we had.
Yeah.
So we ended up flipping that clip. We mirrored the clip horizontally so that it could be backwards, the flow of motion be the same. The reason we did it for that clip instead of the second one is because in our office, we had things on our desk, like our flags had Apex 90 on it. We had a sign saying, I think, the studio. So you would notice those things are backwards if we flipped that footage, right?
So again, keep in mind, if you're in the first scene, if you're going from left to right, you're gonna film the second scene going from right to left. And then in post, you're just gonna reverse the second scene so that it goes in the same motion.
So then once you have the two clips trimmed, all you do is put them back to back, and then you right click on the second clip and add a cross dissolve fade to it. So this will create this cross dissolve between the two clips, which just fades them in together. So if you notice that your transition is a little too long, just keep trimming the end of the first clip and the beginning of the second one until it flows nicely.
And if you want to make it a bit more seamless, make sure you're cutting it when both clips are at the exact same plane, in the horizontal plane.
So for JR's video, his was a little bit different. So ours ended up being a little more simple actually in that regard. Because like we mentioned earlier, he couldn't go past the ground or past the sand in his, so he had to create a mask. So I believe he probably created a dark object, maybe like a black solid.
Yeah, and feathered it
out. Yeah, made the edges softer to it. And then he probably just, motion tracked it down to go with the frame so that it just disappears out of frame after.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So if you are falling from on bed to bed on both scenes, you actually don't even have to worry about that.
So another important thing to remember is to make sure you don't copy your favorite creators frame by frame. Be inspired by them, take some of their concepts and borrow it, but make sure to add your own twist to it because, you want to make sure that this is your style, this is your film. You can create something new with something that you were inspired by.
Yeah, and just make sure it fits your narrative, right? So like for us, I think our early concept was doing the bed fall in my bedroom here, and then waking up or coming off the ground at the beach downtown Toronto.
Yeah.
Just because it would have been similar in a sense that we were starting on the sand. But we realized like for us, that didn't really make sense. So we were like, why don't we just turn this into our own concept and our own narrative? So we tried to create this like dark, upside down dream world, right? So we're waking up like in a familiar place, but that looks a little different, a little bit scarier, right? So we took this concept and made it work for our own narrative versus trying to just copy as close as possible to what JR's video had.
Yeah. Make sure it makes sense for the story that you're telling, and that's where the genius of JR comes in. Whenever he does a transition, it always makes sense for the story that he's telling. Another reason why you'd want to add your own twist to it is because sometimes the creators that you were inspired by may come across your clip. And you might have done it in a way that the creator who's looking at it might be like, wow, I didn't think of that at all.
Yeah, so it's important to just like take what they're doing and just turn it into your own thing, right? So remember to just be inspired by them, but don't exactly copy them, right? I think the creators will appreciate that a lot more than just seeing a direct copy of their work.
Yeah. The last thing I do want to mention is that we're currently working on J.R. Alli's feature for the Creator Series, so be sure to be on the lookout for that.
It'll be coming soon. So that wraps up this video. Hope you liked it. Hope you got to learn something here, because I know a lot of people have been, I think, asking online how J.R. Alli did that video clip. This is our take on it. He might have done something different, but we think we got it pretty close to that, so you can try it out and see what you guys create with it.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. Leave a comment below if you have any questions.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell notification icon to get notified every single time we drop videos like this one. There's lots more coming, so stay tuned.
Until next time, guys.
Keep creating.
Peace.
Peace out.